Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to the video today. Hope you guys are doing well. So in this video, I wanted to show you some old trading layouts that I used to look at and compare them to what I look at today. So, this video could be a little bit insightful for beginner traders potentially because when you're a beginner, you don't really know what to look at. You're just kind of overflowed with knowledge and not really focused on any particular thing. So let's get the video started. I'm going to be going back and looking at layouts dated maybe about a year to a year and a half ago from this current date. And some of these layouts were actually shown in my early YouTube videos. It's actually going to make 1 year on this YouTube channel starting in January. So give it some context and show how far we've come, I guess. So in terms of what I look at now, this is what I look at. So this is the left screen and that would be the right screen. So we got our footprint chart here. Basically, I do my market profiling on this chart right here. And it's like two charts, a daily chart and a 30-minute chart. And I'll go down to about a 15-minute. That's the lowest I'll go. And then over here, I've got the range chart. But really, the majority of information that I need comes from this and this right here. So let's go back and look at some of these old layouts. All right, guys, so if you like this kind of content, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got plenty of other videos to check out. Let's get to it. Okay, so this would have been probably over a year ago. Typical trading view chart, couple of moving averages, Apple weekly chart, all bullish. This is what I would have been looking at. My knowledge of technical analysis was basically limited to what is on the Chart Guys YouTube channel, which is a great YouTube channel for beginner technical analysis. In today's day and age, I use a slightly different style of technical analysis, which is more in the realm of market profile. However, it's good to have a foundation and kind of understand the many ways of thinking. So let's move on here. This would have been a TWS layout. And you can see there's a lot of numbers on the screen there. Big options chain, lots of tickers in the watch list and options and all kinds of trades and that kind of stuff. Let's move on here. Another layout on TWS. So look at this layout compared to what I just showed you. And you can see like chart, 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 a lot of numbers and tickers. Basically, a lot of information, not a lot of focus. I honestly feel like this is where the majority of new traders are in their first, few months to a year. You're kind of experimenting with certain things and there's not necessarily a lot of focus. All right, so here's another example of an 8 chart layout. I don't look at this. I would not look at this today because I only essentially look at one market and I reference about 5 markets, not more than that. But I try to specialize a little bit. Again, that's just my personal preference. Some people still like to do the stock trading thing where they have a watch list of like 3 to 6 tickers on a day, and then they go and trade the ones with the best opportunity. In a way, it makes sense. You can trade the correlations. I just like to trade in the futures and stay focused doing that. So here's a chart, no volume profile, pure price bars with a bunch of moving averages. And, it looks cool, but when it comes to edge, there isn't really any. Looking at this chart, I think this would have been the US dollar, Canadian dollar. There's no edge in looking at this chart, at least from what I can see. Here's another example of a TWS chart that I created. I started getting into the tapes a bit, but you can see still a lack of focus. 1, 2, 3 tapes, all in different places on the screen. And look at this one. That's a great example. I had one tape on the left, one tape on the right. So, where am I looking? Left or right or sideways? Clearly, there was a lack of focus. But again, I didn't know, right? I was kind of self-taught in the early stages of me getting into this stuff. So, it's only normal. And honestly, there's a good thing about being self-taught because you learn the hard way. Whereas someone who always receives the coaching and the guidance, it's like having been in traditional schooling your entire life, never having walked out into the void and start a business on your own. Basically, you're going to face some challenges whether you have years and years of schooling or not. Here's another chart. Probably this was a trading view idea I posted on a Dollarama stock. And you can see, look at these stochastics, RSIs, and these MACDs. I didn't even know what these things were saying at the point. All I was able to see is that there was a divergence here. So you can see the price traded sideways and then this stochastic made lower lows. In regards to what I look at now, this tells me nothing. So, okay, this would have been another layout on TWS where we had 3 tapes and 3 book traders. Again, overall lack of focus, but during this moment, I think I was actually trying to trade the S&P while looking at correlation from the NASDAQ and the financial sector. And in a way, that's actually a pretty good way to look at it. But I honestly think that this layout still lacked a bit of focus overall and still compared to what I look at today. But it was kind of close. Let's move on. All right, so this would have been something after that where you can see I had tapes on the left and charts in the center and watch lists on the top. This was all right to some degree, but again, 3 tapes type of thing in 3 different markets, that was a little bit hard to keep up with. But basically, you see this thing at the top here, that's sort of what I was using, and that's what I still use today, actually, if I have to watch multiple options in the same session, for example. So if I have to trade options or option spreads, I'll use an IB quote monitor, something like this, where you can easily plug in as many contracts as you need and also see if you're in positions and execute the orders all from the same window. All right, moving on, we got a 4 chart layout, pretty boring. All right, so this would have been the first day I got Jigsaw. I just had level 1 data. There was no level 2. I didn't even have depth on my account at this point. And this would have been NQ, and this would have been the triple Qs. I put them side by side. And I was fascinated. When I got this, I was pretty much fascinated with the fact that I was actually able to see the volume in real time at each price. That was the whole point of getting Jigsaw. I was absolutely fascinated with that. Moving on, this is what I updated the layout to look like. Kind of like a Batman race car style. But again, kind of different from what I look at today. You can see I had a couple of tapes, a power meter, and I was using the auction Vista chart as well, and executing orders from this TWS chart. Let's move on. You can see that it's slightly similar here, although I just kind of changed the layout. Again, we have power meters and many different tapes. I actually had the idea of putting in volume from the cash market as well as volume from the futures market. This could be beneficial. I got rid of it now because I think it's a little bit too many numbers on the screen to look at. And again, it's all about minimalizing it. So this would have been like the second most recent. So now we're getting close to the end here. So you can see that I'm slowly zoning in to something. So I'm looking at NQ and I'm looking at volume at price, but at this point in time, I still don't have access to footprint charts. And you can see I'm still kind of putting up these power meters and looking at the volume that has traded in the last half an hour or so, the delta in the last half an hour. And again, thanks to the footprint charts, you can see that a lot clearer now, obviously. Let's move on. This is something more recent. And you can see here, so we have current trades, price, depth, a chart on the right side, and over here we have our total trades. Moving on, this is what I have today. So as you can see, I've taken out the total trades from my Jigsaw setup because of the footprint chart actually allows me to see it a lot easier and take up less space on the screen. So basically I've got a range chart here, and then I've got my tape set up here. This one's for the NQ, this one's for the micros, because I normally execute on the micros at this stage in time. And in terms of the tapes, these are NQ 3 and above, and I have 3 of them that are set to program the same thing. So basically wherever my eyes are looking on the screen, normally they're looking here, but if the price suddenly moves up, I'll be looking here. And then if the price goes down, I'll be looking there, all right? And I tend to reference the volume profile there and the volume profile on my footprint chart. So moving on, that's the left side monitor. And basically, like I told you, this chart right here is the chart I do most of my profiling on. It's actually 2 charts. It's a 30-minute chart, and then I tab over to a daily chart. And from the daily chart, I go to a 12-hour, 6-hour, 4-hour, just to kind of get context about one-time framing. But really the daily chart is the preferred chart. Here's the footprint. Probably the magic sauce comes from this and these numbers down below here. So the cumulative delta and the delta of each bar, as well as the high volume and low volume areas on the footprint charts. I'm not going in detail in this video, unfortunately, but I just wanted to show you the various layouts that I've looked at for the last year and how they've evolved. So you can clearly see that from about a year ago until today, there's definitely a little bit more focus right now than there used to be. So I think I'll leave it there for today. Here's a little funny picture. You can see the buyers getting long, saying they don't need to stop. All right, guys, I wish you the best. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye.